for the Cowboy, but a decent-looking Superman as he approaches the pontoon. Not quite enough power to get him up onto it, but had a smooth approach. He will get a lot of credit for the approach. Partial credit for that first trick, not quite getting his hand in the water. Superman looked good, almost getting to the pontoon. Should be about a middle-of-the-road score if I had to guess, Regan.
Well, we're looking for the scores, waiting for them to come through, but the action has started here in San Diego this hot afternoon here in the United States. Roberto Hernandez there. Let's have a look at the scores if they've come through yet. Nothing on the screen yet for us. Jeannie Bartholomew had a great day yesterday. She finished off the training in third place with a first round score of 5.9.84 and finished off with a 5.1.11 round 2, 1.112.96 to finish third in the training.
Also, Jeannie telling me this morning she will not opt to make any changes. We saw all the competitors have a lot of trouble with these lazy boys. Again, when you're pushing your body position as opposed to along the water, you're going to be more susceptible to these ocean swells, to these wakes that the boats are kicking up. But right now, first thing in the morning, or first thing late in the morning, I should say, the ocean's still smooth enough where she should have good success in an attempt to capitalize on her success yesterday here in the qualifiers.
Lazy Boys Switchblade is what we're looking for from Jeannie Bartholomew. Scores for Roberto Hernandez are coming through on the scoreboard right now as we watch. Here she comes, Jeannie.
Into toggles way sooner than she would have liked.
Oh! Just thought she was going to nail it and get Andy onto the pontoon. Final score from Roberto Hernandez is through 4.0.42.
Regan, it looked to me like she set up a little bit tight on the course and a little bit low, had to abort into the toggles in order to return the canopy to straight and level flight. She was able to get on the water and throw her first trick, being the lazy boy, and had some success there. Certainly no time to execute the second trick, which was meant to be the switchblade. Did get a lot of raft time, didn't quite stick it, but salvaged what she could, again trying to capitalize on that 30% score, which is the landing.
Well, the qualification scores have started through. Roberto Hernandez has finished with a 4.0.42. As we know from Copenhagen, Andy, that magical score of 70 points is what we're looking for. If passing through 70, that's going to be where we want to see these athletes. It's the first round of qualification. It's the third time this course has been flown by these athletes. Roberto Hernandez, 4.0.42. Jeannie Bartholomew finishing with a poor 2.6.22, Andy.
Up next, we'll see Ariel Marquette looking for the Cowboy Superman, which was the same sequence Roberto attempted to show us on the first run. Roberto had informed us it was a straight-in approach. He opted for the right carve instead. Curious to see if Ariel also, we expect to see a straight-in approach, but these competitors do have a little bit of leeway to, on the fly, change their direction of approach. The judges have informed them that won't ding their score. It just might take them by surprise a little bit, looking in a direction they did not expect to have to look.
The scores that we are giving you, they are broken down into three sections. The approach is worth 10% of the score. Then each trick, the two tricks, are a total of 60%. That's 30% each. And then the landing, there's a maximum of 30% available for the landing onto the pontoon. These scores for the qualifying are only going to give us the order for the finals. When we get into the finals at 2 p.m., it's 2 rounds with a clean slate. Andy, we're looking for the Frenchman, Ariel Marquet, with a Cowboy Superman.
He is forecast to come straight down the pike, Regan. I don't expect him to change it. The conditions are such that I think that will be to his advantage. Nothing about the conditions to suggest he would change that. However, we did see Roberto Hernandez change it, so you never know what might be going through these competitors' heads. They, of course, are seeing things we cannot see from ground level, so you never know what might contribute to a changing of their mind in their approach. But for now, we're going to plan on seeing him take it straight down the pike.
And Ariel as well, no stranger to competition, an accomplished gymnast and also an accomplished skateboarder as well. He was showing us his skills out there on the basketball court yesterday.
Indeed, Regan, in our downtime, Ariel showing us his skateboarding skills. Looks like they haven't rusted much.
So we are into the action, the second day of action here in San Diego, this beautiful location. Just tell everybody, Andy, exactly where we are.
We are in Embarcadero Park South with the beautiful Coronado Bridge in the background. Quite a venue for Swoop Freestyle. First foray out of Denmark on the international stage.
More venues to come as well. The goal is to hopefully have 4 venues next year and 8 venues the year after that. Keep watching. We hope you all are enjoying as well. 2 athletes through current scores on the doors. Roberto Hernandez, 40.42. Andy.
Coming out of the turn right now, Ariel looking for that cowboy. He's kind of tight. Oh, it looks good.
Now a good slide over the end of the pontoon, and just like yesterday, Andy, quite deep and far through.
Had a lot of power, a lot of distance. These competitors will be taking note of what they see out of their colleagues, and I would imagine taking it deeper. Ariel Marquette, a beautiful looking cowboy. His offhand was on our blind side, but it did appear that he did get it on the water. Unfortunately, that pontoon coming up in a hurry, a lot of power in his back pocket, didn't have a lot of time for that Superman. Did kind of give it an honest effort, and he should get rewarded for that. But of course, with all that power coming right off the end of the raft.
Well, the scores are coming through now. As we know, the best so far, Hernandez from Chile with 40.42. Jeannie Bartholomew, 26.22. Now, Ariel's scores ranking up through 30s, into the 40s, into the 50s. Waiting for that final score to be claimed, and we'll give you that very shortly indeed. It is into the 50s. It's 50.53, Andy. Final score for Ariel Marquet with a maximum available of 91.78.
That sounds about right, Regan. As we experienced yesterday, the judging was consistent through the first 2/3 of the competition. Couple curveballs thrown our way toward the end, but the judges see what they see, and they know best.
Now we have Mario Fattoruso from Italy, one of the 2 Fattoruso brothers that are competing here in this championships, from a skydiving family. They've been on drop zone since they were as young as they can remember. He's also an accomplished 4-way FS skydiver as well. He'll be competing in Bahrain at the Indoor World Championships in October. Mario Fattoruso, and he is going to be giving us a switchblade Superman.
Mario telling me this morning he did opt for a change in his program, looking for those higher percentage combinations to overcome the volatility of the sea here, going for a switchblade Superman. Not high on the technicality, but what he believes will be a higher percentage chance of success in these conditions.
Let's have a look how he finished off yesterday. Here he comes.
Switchblade, Superman.
Nice, it's nice. Stay there, he's on. Oh, he's off the end. The tricks look good.
Extremely smooth, Regan, as I expected them to be. A very nice switchblade laid down to a Superman on a straight down the pike approach. Looked like he was a little bit off to the right side of the pontoon, did line it back up, just had a hair too much power, and smoothly, with some style I would say, comes off the end of the pontoon, but he should get plenty of credit for that run.
Well, his scores are coming through into the system now. Be interesting to see what we get there. Highest we've had so far is 50.53, so Mario Fattoruso there. I mean, there's points available for that landing, even though he slid off the end of the pontoon, but there's contact with the pontoon. The judges are giving points for that, Andy.
Yeah, no doubt. It looked good. The tricks were great. He made plenty of contact with the pontoon, almost slowed it down, just got the best of him at the last moment. He should be fine. I expect probably the highest round thus far.
We expect to be creeping up towards 70 points. The scores have been confirmed. 67.16, the highest score so far. 67.16, Mario Fattoruso. So next is going to be Cornelia MIHAI, UAE, Cowboy Superman. Here she is, Cornelia. Let's check out her intro. The shots from Copenhagen.
Cornelia MIHAI consistently too deep, both in Copenhagen and in training yesterday. Looking for her to tighten up her approach, going for a Cowboy Superman straight in.
She finished off yesterday, Andy, halfway down the pack. Out of 17 athletes, she was number 9 with a score of 87.33, 27.27 first round, 59.72 second round. She increased her score dramatically. What's she going to do here in the first round of qualification?
Looking for this Cowboy Superman, her go-to combination. A little bit of chop on the water, I think, will subside by the time she is on the water doing her trick. But I'm most concerned right now to see where she places herself. Deep again, Regan. I'm a little bit surprised. Off the water, no hand in the water. Wow, but she does.
She puts it down in the center of the pontoon. That's where the maximum points are. Hopefully a stand-up landing. Didn't get a stand-up, but Andy right in the middle.
Regan, I must apologize to Cornelia MIHAI. I suspected in the beginning of that approach that she was once again far too deep. My mistake, my goodness. She makes it all the way to the pontoon for close to a stand-up landing in the middle. She will get dinged for losing the water contact on the Cowboy, and I was so wrapped up in wondering whether she was going to make it to the pontoon. Don't know if the Superman, how much credit she'll get for that. But
looked good to me.
But a great approach, and really eyeballing that distance.
So Cornelia MIHAI now with that brilliant landing in the middle of the pontoon. Let's have a look at what's coming through from the judges. Passing through the 40s, through the 50s. Is it going to ding up into the 60s? 59.76 at the moment, unconfirmed. Is that where it's going to stay? She's moving forward a little bit more. We've got the next athlete, Miles Cotman from Australia. Just waiting for the final result from Cornelia. It is into the 60s, 61.44, just behind Marion FATTORUSO, 67.16.
Wow, Regan, you have to imagine what it would have been had she been able to maintain the water contact through that first trick, getting high scores regardless. Miles Cotman coming up next, looking for a boomerang method, and yesterday we kept wondering, would anyone putting the boomerang first reset the wing above their head before attempting the method, offering to those judges the clear line of distinction from trick 1 to trick 2, which is what they have told us they are very interested in seeing, because any blending from trick 1 to trick 2 isn't as desirable. Miles Cotman also yesterday having a heck of a approach coming out of our field of vision on our right in the corner of the jetty here in Embarcadero Park and making it all the way to the pontoon.
If you just joined us, a very good morning. Welcome to San Diego. The live stream around the world is the finals of Swoop Freestyle. Here he is, Miles Cotman.
Regan, extremely difficult for these boomerangs or wingovers. If you call that as your first trick, returning the wing directly overhead in an attempt to draw that line of distinction from trick 1 to trick 2. If you overcorrect, if the wing then goes to the other side, you are almost by necessity need to spend the rest of your water time correcting for that and not having time for your second trick. It looks like that's what Miles suffered from there. Had a good looking boomerang and a good looking approach, kind of overcorrected in an attempt to get the wing back overhead, not giving himself the best opportunity for the method and coming up short on the pontoon.
It is the qualifications of the final day of Swoop Freestyle 2018 here in San Diego. Currently holding the championship, Travis Mills taking the win in Copenhagen. Second place, Pablo Hernandez. Third place, Christian Weber. Their points have come through to what we have now. Fifth place, Franco Diamond, 7 points. Fourth place, Colonida Cagnasso, 9. 11 points, Christian Weber. 14 points, Hernandez. And the top 18 points, Travis Mills. Into the finals today, those points will be added together to give you the grand finalist and the winner of the FAI Swoop Freestyle 2018. Andy.
Armando FATTORUSO, the second FATTORUSO brother, coming up next, looking to give us a cowboy boomerang. So a cowboy boomerang, that's an interesting combination, Regan. So tip, you're going to have the cowboy at an angle before you then carve the canopy towards the pontoon. Don't know that we've seen that combination quite yet.
So at the top, Mario, the other FATTORUSO, in the lead, 67.16. Let's see what his brother can bring up now. Not a good day for Armando yesterday. He got a 35.44 in training of round 1. and a 14.43 in training on round 2, finishing down at the bottom of the pack. So he's got something to prove now here in the qualification round and get himself up there in the rankings, Andy.
I do expect him to bounce back strong. All these competitors, so experienced, so seasoned. They're not going to be, they're unflappable, Regan. If they have one bad game, not likely to have a second bad game.
Some waves moving through out here, Andy, by that pontoon. You can see it wafting and wobbling away. It's going to be tricky for him here with this cowboy boomerang from the right, 2.38 degree and 2.11 degree of difficulty on the second trick.
Armando up high now, eyeing the course. Very interested to see this. I don't believe, if memory serves me, we've seen this combination before. The cowboy will be executed at a 45-degree angle to the pontoon before laying over the wing at least 30 degrees for the boomerang, looking to line up parallel with the pontoon for his landing.
So Armando Fattoruso, the second of the Fattoruso brothers from Italy.
There is some swell moving through the water as he comes out of his turn into his approach. Here we go.
Oh, and he's on there, Andy. He takes a landing onto the pontoon. That's going to help his scores.
For the third competitor who has attempted a carving cowboy, not able to maintain hand-to-water contact, does the boomerang but completely out of contact with the water, is able to shut the canopy down, inducing a stall in order to in fact land on the pontoon. So he should get a lot of credit for that, but probably not a lot of high scores coming for those tricks.
Waiting for the scores to come through. They are starting to come through now from Armando Fattoruso. Before that, Miles Copland with 4.1.32. And there goes Fattoruso now off down in front of the crowd.
Regan, you can see the waves moving underneath of the pontoon. It's no joke that it was reported to me by the competitors looking at it from above. At times that pontoon would shift 45 degrees before getting pulled back by its buoys. So a lot of volatility on the course out there, Regan, a lot to deal with, but these competitors are doing their best.
Well, Armando Fattoruso gets 39.34. 39.34 is his final score on round 1. Very similar to his first score in the training yesterday. Timmy Thompson from Denmark, 26 years of age. 2,300 jumps, his third year as a Swoop Freestyle competitor. Obviously, like everybody else, first time here in San Diego. Andy is going to be bringing a Ghost Rider Miracle Man.
Very technical combination here, Regan. A Ghost Rider Miracle Man. Ghost Rider requiring releasing both controls in their entirety before regaining control, and then a Miracle Man inducing a full 360-degree line twist to again face the original direction of flight and shutting it down on the pontoon. If he can pull this off, it should rocket him into first place. Here he comes, out of his turn, into his approach. Nice Ghost Rider.
Go on, Timmy.
Gets the Miracle Man around, but too tight on the course, puts him clearly off the end of the raft. But I am impressed with the stylization of the Ghost Rider and the concentration to get both hands back into the controls with enough power remaining to turn the full 360 degrees in the harness while keeping the wing overhead. Extremely difficult. These wings are very fickle, very volatile, very sensitive to weight distribution. So for Timmy Thompson to be able to turn his body 360 degrees, not to mention while previously having his hands out of the controls altogether, impressive nonetheless. Loses water contact, but I would expect the judges to give some reward to that effort.
All right, so Timmy Thompson's scores are coming through now, thick and fast, moving up through the 20s, through the 30s. In the meantime, from New Zealand, Chris Thompson sets himself up with a Cowboy Superman. That's what we're waiting for. Just waiting for these final scores for Timmy Thompson to come through. Up into the 50s now, unconfirmed. Not looking like he's going to get into the 60s. 55.77, Andy.
Yeah, that's about right, because there's a lot to be rewarded there, but by the letter of the law, some things needed to be penalized at the same time. So a score that sounds about right.
Chris Stewart now, here from New Zealand.
So this, unlike Roberto and unlike Armando, it will be a cowboy for the first trick, but straight down the pike, not in the carving orientation. So it'll be curious to see if he'll have any more success versus those attempting to come in from a carving direction at keeping his hand in the water.
Chris Stewart is starting his turn, bringing us the Cowboy Superman, Andy.
Straight down the pike, coming out of his turn into his approach. Looks like a decent approach. He's going to be a little bit tight, though. Regan looked a little bit eager to get his hand in the water, didn't quite get the wing returned to straight and level flight, and in doing so and being a little bit overly enthusiastic about getting his hand in the water, skips a knee, catches a knee, puts him back up into the air, look to regain control of the canopy for the Superman, but these things tend to take a chain reaction. After you catch a knee once, there's going to be a bounce and you're going to be back into the water. He had a second water check and wasn't really able to regain control. Took a little bit of a tumble at the end, but he appears to be okay.
He finished off the training yesterday with a 27.76 on round 1 and a 60.77 on round 2, down in 12th place for Chris Stewart, New Zealand, in the training round, Andy.
Yeah, he's going to be a little bit disappointed with that run, but again, get 2 looks at it. The ones that count are still to come.
His scores are through. He gets a 3.4.03. He's down and low, 3.4.03. Still at the top of the listings, Mario Fattoruso, 6.7.16.
CURT Bartholomew will be up next with a wing over lazy boy. We saw CURT take a nasty fall yesterday in training, unable to deal with some of the largest waves we saw for any of the competitors. Did not do him any favors in his approach. And also he dealt with being a little bit low as well. So a combination of factors leading CURT to have a less than stellar run yesterday.
He's going to be bringing us his wing over lazy boy, Andy, in his first round of qualification. CURT Bartholomew, 5 times world champion.
Regan, it's noteworthy that Saturday night in Copenhagen, while the rest of the competitors were out partying, I found CURT Bartholomew studying tape in his room, debriefing his runs, already preparing for San Diego.
So he's got something to prove now here in the qualification rounds. Finished off down in 16th place, 1 place behind Armando Fattoruso in the training periods. Oh, he's in the center, Andy.
That's going to score highly, no doubt.
The wing over lazy boy. I don't know, I didn't quite catch it from where we were in the studio, Andy. Did you manage to see any of that?
Saw the last half, not quite sure on the approach, but the wing over, the end of the wing over into the lazy boy must have been good enough to put him on the center of the pontoon.
Well, the scores are coming in from the judges. Let's see what they make of it. As we know, right now in the qualification, 6.7.16 from Mario Fattoruso has been the highest score, just behind Cornelia MIHAI, UAE, 6.1.44. But let's see what this champion has brought us here in his first round of qualification. His scores are moving up through the 30s, through the 40s, into the 50s. now just passed through into 60s, and his final score, Andy, is 60.39.
Doesn't quite put him in first place. So once again, we see the high percentage fluidity moves being rewarded, perhaps more than a technical combination that isn't executed with as much control, although that looked pretty good to me, Regan.
Okay, Bartholomew there. Next up, we are going to have Ian Bobo.
Ian Bobo, once again, showing all these young guys what it's like to be a professional, co-founding member of Flight 1, co-founding member of the PD Factory team. Been doing it for so long, Regan. This event, and all of us are fortunate to have him as part of it.
In training yesterday, he finished off 4th with 107.07. First round score was 64.94. It was a great one. It was a cracker. Current standings on the qualifications: 3rd place, Curt Bartholomew. 2nd place, Cornelia MIHAI is still in the lead. Mario FATTORUSO.
Looking for that boomerang method out of Ian Bobo. So we ask the question once again, will the competitors look to return the wing to straight and level flight before executing the method in an attempt to draw a clear line of distinction from trick 1 to trick 2?
Our oldest competitor, but not to be dismissed. He knows how to fly this canopy. 47 years of age, 21,000 skydives from Bobo.
He will be carving from the left, as so many of these competitors are, giving all the spectators down there at the corner of the park quite a treat in some of the best views in the park.
He is being followed on camera as well for the after shots. Let's see how this new camera team here in San Diego managed to follow the action.
Beginning his turn now. Whipping it around into his approach. Coming from deep.
Is he going to stop there, Andy? He's got it. He's on
there. Great job from Ian Bobo. Gave it a little bit of a hip check on the boomerang. You didn't really see a clear ending to trick 1 and a clear beginning to trick 2. So often these competitors, if they're taken out of their ideal approach, they very quickly need to improvise. I'm wondering if after that hip check, Ian sort of aborted the attempt at showing a clear method and instead put his efforts into getting onto the pontoon. Typically we've seen that that is a worthwhile gamble, and in this case it allowed him to stay on the pontoon. We'll see if the judges reward it and if in fact it was the best choice to make.
Well, his scores are coming through now direct from the judges in the boat into the system and out to you. I can tell you his score, well, it's still being accumulated right now into the 50s. Is it going to be confirmed? We're waiting for that confirmation on the score. Currently hovering around 53. Waiting for the confirmation ticket is 53. 53.29. Confirmed score for Ian Bobo.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been surprised if it was a little bit higher, but clearly those judges are penalizing for those hip checks as they should. So it wasn't the smoothest. It was a nice landing, but without the fluidity in each trick, certainly not going to get up around that 60 and not above that magic 70.
Well, Chris Teague, his first time with Swoop Freestyle, competed in Copenhagen a few weeks ago. Had a great competition and opening, which was brilliant trick straight onto the pontoon. Training yesterday, he brought himself just into the 11th place, 4.195. First round, 4.1.01. Second round, 8.2.96 was his total. Andy, boomerang blind man is what we're looking for.
Boomerang blind man, a deceivingly difficult and technical combination. Chris, with only 15 minutes to spare this morning, still had not committed to a decision as to whether he was going to change what he was doing yesterday or stick with it. So here we go, out of his turn, into his approach. Looking for the boomerang, there it is. Can he turn it around? No, it looks again.
Now this is very interesting. That's exactly where he finished in training on the raft as well, right onto the lip of it. He'll be getting points for that, Andy, but that blind man, we didn't get that at the end, of course.
Yeah, once again, these competitors are quickly assessing the situation. If they think they can make it to the pontoon, chances are you can get a little bit, extract more of a score from your 30% allotment in the landing versus attempting to do that second trick, extracting less of that 30% allotment for the second trick and missing the pontoon altogether. Or if they recognize the pontoon is out of reach, then certainly they throw whatever they can into that second trick in hopes to get something out of it. But Chris Teague opting to abort the blind band altogether.
Interesting stuff, interesting techniques, and looking at his score coming through, it has been confirmed, Andy. It's not high, 37.68.
Yeah, the judges definitely taking a toll for the omission of the second trick, despite making contact with the pontoon.
So next up, Franco Darman. Yesterday finished in 10th place, 4.5.14 in a full 1.40. And Franco Darman, we're looking for a blind man, Superman, Andy.
So yesterday, Franco Darman, he told me his run while backwards in the harness for his blind man, you cannot see the waves, and he inadvertently and unexpectedly took off, like using the wave as a ramp and put him into the air, of course eliminating his ability to maintain water contact through the second trick. Be looking for him to see if he smooths out the turn into the blind man or goes with his characteristic quick turn into the blind man.
Who just joined us, a very good morning here in San Diego. It's a qualified into the finals this afternoon of the 2018 Swoop Freestyle Championships, and the final rounds begin at 2 p.m. 1400 local time. Right now it is the qualifications, 2 rounds. In the whole process we have 6 flights, 6 rounds, 2 trainings, 2 qualifiers, and 2 finals. 26 years of age, another brother team of the Darmans with Mario and
Here
Franco.
he comes. Oh! Definitely a little low on the course. Does a full butt check on the water. Appears to be okay.
Yeah, it's the first misjudged approach I think we've had today.
These competitors risk, of course, putting themselves a little low. These canopies are aggressive, high-performance wings, and when you induce speed, your body, like a pendulum, must have time to recover underneath the wing before reaching the surface of the water. You can have some margin for error utilizing your toggles and your controls on the wing, but you can only have so much margin there.
Let's see what the judges make of that. His scores are coming through slowly. Actually, a bit of deliberation going on there. Over in the Copenhagen, Franco Darman finished in 5th place, and he picked up 7 championship points coming into the event here in Copenhagen. But this qualification round, it's a low one, Andy. It's 4.39 total.
Wow, this is the lowest scoring round we've seen. Judges certainly not interested in rewarding anything that can be considered potentially dangerous, putting these competitors in a compromised safety situation. So not surprised to see it. Certainly the biggest ding would have come on the approach with the lower turn. Certainly no reward for the first trick. In the bounce off the water, miraculously he was able to sort of salvage the Superman, and of course came up a little bit shy of the pontoon, but even so the judges not interested in rewarding the second trick or landing given the circumstances.
Well, Andy, we do have 4 athletes yet to come on the qualification round 1. Next will be Claudio Cagnasso. Potential score of 9.1.30 with his cowboy method. What a great day he had yesterday. A very psychological win for him in the training round. Finishing off just 1 point above Pablo Hernandez with 114.78. That would have been a good feeling overnight.
Certainly, Regan, after he laid down the highest scoring round in the finals in Copenhagen, but not even having it be enough to get on the podium. That must have been extremely deflating for Claudio. So happy for him to have a great day yesterday. So smooth, so deliberate. We look to see him have another big day today and try to make it up onto that podium.
He brings 9 championship points into San Diego from Copenhagen, finishing in 4th place. But now his chance to really stamp his authority.
Here he is coming out of his turn into his approach. Looks like a nice setup. Once again, smooth.
Come on,
nice line of distinction up onto the podium.
Really showing his authority now in these last 2 jumps.
A portrait of consistency thus far, going all the way back into Copenhagen, bringing it into San Diego. I was worried he would not be able to draw that nice line of distinction between the cowboy and the method, but he did a great job doing so. Stayed squared up to his line of flight in the cowboy. Hard to tell if he got the hand all the way in the water, but once he switched to the method, turned 90 degrees in the harness, getting his hips perpendicular to the line of flight. The judges will certainly reward that distinction from trick 1 to trick 2. The approach looked great, and then of course getting up onto the pontoon at the end. I expect this to challenge the #1 spot right now.
His transition into that first trick as well, his body language going into the cowboy, very smooth, very artistic, very much in control. His scores are coming through, and he's looking for a score which is going to challenge that top spot currently set by Mario Fattoruso of 67.16, and Claudio's score now is coming through. It's gone through the 30s, 40s, 50s. It's hovering around the 50s right now. We've still not got the confirmation of that final result, but I would expect it to climb a little bit higher, but Andy, it doesn't. It stalls at 51.23.
Wow, I'm a little bit surprised. I feel like Claudio is not getting the benefit of the doubt on a lot of these runs that he has. To me, it looked definitely in the ballpark of what we saw from Armando Fattoruso, or excuse me, the other Mario Fattoruso. And if it wasn't going to take over that score, I would have expected it to be much closer. Unfortunate for Claudio.
There you go, that's the current standings. Claudio now in 6th place, 5th place Ian Bobo, 4 Timmy Thompson, 3 CURT Bartholomew, 2 Cornelia MIHAI. At the top still there, Mario Fattoruso. It's round 1 of the qualification. All this is doing with the qualification points is setting up the exit order and the run order for the finals. Once we get to 2 p.m. in them 2 final rounds, Andy, the squares are all flat and even.
Indeed, once again, all we are determining at this very moment is the seeding for the finals coming up later this afternoon, and it is of course to some advantage for these competitors to go later.
There is Christian Weber. I do apologize, we missed that approach for you with the Boomerang Superman.
Boomerang Superman, a nice combination for these conditions. He might have had a little more chop to deal with than the previous competitors. Comes up a little bit shy of the pontoon.
So he finished in 3rd place, Andy, in Copenhagen, bringing 11 championship points here into San Diego. What are the judges going to make of what we've just seen before that? Claudio Cagnasso, 51.23. Harsh scores there. But what do we have for the Danish champion, Christian Weber, being scored and coming through now? Still to come, 2nd place from Copenhagen, Pablo Hernandez, and the winner from Copenhagen, Travis Mills, Andy.
Switchblade Superman, the same sequence we saw from Mario Fattoruso, currently sitting in 1st place. I would expect Pablo to bring a performance to rival Mario Fattoruso. Teammates, of course, on the PD Factory team, trained together.
Well, Andy, the judge is not happy with Christian Weber, 15.98. 15.98.
15. Well, certainly we must have missed something to have had a score so low. We didn't quite see the beginning of that, but obviously something transpired there to result in such a low score.
It's the first time we've took the championships outside of Copenhagen. We're bringing, there goes the Weber now passing by the audience. And Andy, big logistical setup to get these championships here. We've got to drop it down every night, reset it all in the morning.
Indeed, a lot of moving parts here, a lot of new elements, including the water safety team, who are doing a great job getting these competitors from the raft up to the dock so they can repack their gear to do it all over again.
Andy, as well, we are here just kind of downwind of the food court, the food village out in front of us. I don't know about you, but I'm getting some great wafts of snacks my way.
I will be looking forward to some lunch here between the qualifiers and finals.
Pablo Hernandez, small from Spain. Flies, everything that flies, paragliders, wingsuits, parachutes. FS competitor, canopy pilot, extreme, training with Flight 1. Newer up-and-coming skydivers, 16,000 jumps. Pablo's going to be giving us Switchblade Superman, Andy.
Taking a straight-in approach will be Pablo Hernandez, much like many of these competitors, believing that that is a higher percentage approach versus the carving from the left or the right. And already, versus where we started, the water a little bit more of a chop on it. This will certainly play a bigger role in the finals than it has thus far here in the qualifiers.
He's bringing 14 championship points into San Diego. Pablo Hernandez, second place in Copenhagen, approaches the course, Andy.
Looking like he's in a good spot, starting his turn early, aiming to end in the middle, as he does with a powerful final whip of the turn. In he comes, a nice approach. There's the Switchblade. There's the Superman.
Oh yes, come on!
Can he stop? Oh.
Initial impressions for those tricks, Andy, I think they were pleasing to my eye.
They were. The Switchblade looked quite perfect. No rush getting into that first trick, which we like to see. Into the second trick, lost water contact momentarily, but was able to reconnect with the water. That should score highly. Unfortunately, Pablo Hernandez, not one of our lighter competitors, shall we say. A lot of inertia, and unfortunately, too much inertia to stay on the raft, comes off the end. But with all that contact, utilizing raft front to back, he will get plenty of credit.
The organisers and the judges are stressing hard that they want these athletes to really show these tricks for the members of the public so they can understand what's being done. I think Pablo did that.
Of course, the more control these competitors can show, the easier it is to understand what it is they're trying to do.
So his scores are coming through, and it's creeping up through the 40s, 50s, it's into the 60s. We're waiting for the confirmation. It's hovering, it's short, it was 63, it's up to 64. It's not decided yet. Could this be the highest score of the round? Mario FATTORUSO is 67.16, but no, Pablo doesn't make it, 64.29.
Well, that will put him in the top 3 if I'm not mistaken.
One more athlete to come, the champion of Copenhagen in prime position, 18 championship points, and Travis Mills brings his first qualification run with the Method Cowboy.
Method Cowboy playing it a little bit safer than he has. Of course, bringing all those championship points from Copenhagen, it does pay to play it safe. Here it is.
Method
Cowboy.
Stop it, stop it! Oh!
Doesn't quite stay on, but Regan, a lot of power, good distinction from trick 1 to trick 2. Always a little bit more impressive if you place the trick that requires you to release control second, because you will have spent a lot of that precious power, and then to take a hand out of the controls is more technical, certainly. So, didn't quite stay on the pontoon at the end, but close enough to earn certainly a shot at staying in the top 3 right now.
Again, what we were looking for from the judges is to see those tricks, and he did that. They were calm, they were controlled. His scores are coming through now direct from the judges, and he's up into the 60s, the highest score we've had so far. Again, 67.16 in the first round of qualification. Travis Mills is, wow, it's confirmed 6'4.78.
There you go. I'm not surprised to see it. Although, Regan, I have to say once again, it seems like Claudio's score was a little low versus what we've seen here from Travis and from Pablo. Be interesting to get a take from him as to how he feels about that.
So there we are. It's got these final scores from the round 1 of qualification on the screen and see just what is done and what has happened here in this first round of qualifying. So we can see now how it stands before we go into round 2 of qualifications. 10th place, Miles Cotman. 9, Ariel Marquez. 8, Claudio Cognasso. 7, Ian Bolwell. 6, Timmy Thompson. Your top 5 is like this: USA, CURT, Bartholomew. 4, Cornelia, MIHAI, UAE. 3, Spain, Pablo Hernandez. 2, Travis Mills, USA. 1, Mario Fattoruso, Italy.
Travis Mills putting himself in prime position here, going into the finals, looking to lock down that either top spot, or if you're going in the last 3, you're happy with that. Having seen the performance of all the previous competitors, you can then make a decision. Do you need to go big, or can you play it safe?
Well, Andy, we're halfway through this session, the 11 o'clock session here in San Diego. This is Swoop Freestyle 2018. I'm Regan Tetlow. This is Andy Malchiodi. Andy, what's your first impression from what you've seen today compared to what you saw yesterday?
I like the adjustments these competitors have made. It didn't seem to matter. All the competitors seem to have improved with a couple exceptions, but those who did make adjustments, it was to their benefit. Those who went for it, same as yesterday, improved upon their performances for yesterday for the most part. So happy to see that, but as we've already seen from the beginning of our qualifying rounds, these conditions starting to get a little bit more chop on the water. You expect that afternoon sea breeze to pick up, and it's only going to make it a little more technically challenging. So it goes to show these rounds early, utilize these quality conditions to get a high score, knowing it's only going to get difficult later on.
I want to say a big thank you to our sponsors here, San Diego Town, the Port of San Diego, iFly, Sichuan, of course, as well. We're bringing you a full list of all the sponsors as we go throughout the day. Over 70 international exhibitions and events, bringing millions of people to this Port of San Diego every single year. We're going to be going direct into round 2 of qualifications, and then we'll be back at 2 p.m. with the finals. So I'm just going to switch my papers over here from round 1 to round 2, starting off again with Roberto Hernandez. And he's going to be giving us the method blind man, Andy.
Method blind man, a combination that lends itself to fluidity, turning 90 degrees in the harness. You would expect him to ride that momentum into the blind man, which does not provide the distinction between trick 1 and trick 2 like these judges are looking for. But if you opt to count on the fluidity that this combination provides, you might determine it's to your advantage to not return to the direction of flight before turning all the way around in the harness.
I'm just looking out at the studio now, Andy. There's some waves bouncing through here. It's a whole different ball game than Copenhagen and Peblinger, so it makes it a good challenge. We're starting now. Chilean Roberto Hernandez.
Here he comes. Method turns it the other way. Good for him, and does make contact with the front of the pontoon.
He's on there.
He's got his feet on there.
His feet are there.
Determined to demonstrate to the judges that he does in fact have his feet on there. But Regan, very impressed with the effort. I had spoken about the easy way would be to continue the momentum in the direction of your method into the blind man. He opts to rotate the other direction, so clearly showing distinction. Should get rewarded for that. Does get backwards in the harness prior to reaching the pontoon. Not the smoothest approach onto the pontoon, but he will get credit. Probably better than his first run.
It's one of those combinations of tricks which can easily, like you say, flow from one to the next, not giving that distinction. Really making sure that we could see it. Scores are coming through, Andy. He's 40.42 on round 1. He's doing a lot better than that now on round 2. His little feet were dangling off the end of the pontoon.
Many people are unable to rotate both directions in the harness, showing the dexterity, being able to turn 90 degrees one way for the method, and then what amounts to 270 degrees to the opposite direction for the blind man. Very impressive. Roberto Hernandez clocking a 51.07, an improvement by 10 points over his first score. I think he'll be satisfied with that.
Yeah, 9-1.49 is setting the standard now into the qualifications. Remember, at the end of these 2 rounds, we're going to see the order. There he goes, Pablo, giving a little wave on the back of the jet ski as he comes cruising down the front of the crowd. Nice group of people gathering around here, Andy, on the grassy knoll here in the harbour.
Beautiful Embarcadero Park here in downtown San Diego. Thoroughfare lined with tents, lined with activity.
So next up, one of our 2 female athletes here in the championships, JEANNIE Bartholomew, finishing off yesterday in training in 3rd place with a very impressive 112.96. Andy, she's bringing now the lazy boy, cowboy. I think she likes to call them lazy girl, cowgirl.
She does swap out the gender designation on these tricks often, and if we're looking at a lazy girl, cowgirl, then she should have an easier time maintaining water contact for the lazy girl, something that was giving all the competitors trouble yesterday. When you push your body through the water, you're skipping over the waves, so very difficult to maintain water contact. But she told me she's going to roll the dice, not making any changes from her program yesterday. Here she comes out of her turn now, into her approach.
Oh, it's nice, it's straight, it's a lot of power.
Too much power, a little bit tight on the course, and much like we saw yesterday, skipping off the water when attempting to begin the lazy girl. Skipped 2 or 3 times, didn't really have an opportunity to show the cowboy, probably in an effort to do everything in her power to stay on the raft, but even so, comes off the end.
All right, Andy. Well, the scores are coming through now. Again, the good thing about the qualification rounds is it's just setting the exit order. These points do get. Is there a psychology there, because it's all going to be neutral again for the finals? Can you really try different things on the qualification? I don't know, what, going deeper or going short? What do you think?
There's certainly a psychological element. I mean, we always are making the determination for the long game. Some of these competitors put more stock into winning than others. Some just want to put on a great show. They all want to do well, of course, but your risk to reward ratio, your risk tolerance is going to determine whether or not you roll those dice, whether or not you attempt some things that maybe you haven't put a lot of practice into. Travis Mills, for example, told me without a consistent pond to train at home, that's why he is omitting the wingovers today. You won't see any wingovers from Travis Mills today.
Yeah, what we did see from Travis Mills this morning at breakfast was quite a few cuts and grazes on his elbow for training on the grass, Andy. But we are live here in San Diego. Great crowd is forming outside of the studio. We got Irish MC into the crowd. We got myself, Brigitetto, and Andy Malchiori here in the studio out to the world. And there goes JEANNIE just passing by the studio now. She gives a wave. There she is, she's seen us. JEANNIE Bartholomew, punch in the air. She gives us a 3:0.59 on round 2, 5:6.81 she finishes with. She finished the 3rd in training. She had 5:9.84 and 5:1.11. Good scores in training, Andy.
Yeah, she was definitely happy with everything she brought yesterday, looking to continue into today, looking for that elusive victory over her husband.
Ariel Maque, the Frenchman, will be our next athlete through. Method blind man. Andy, now we saw method blind man to start this round 2 from Roberto Hernandez. As you said, he switched up the direction. Are we going to see that from the Frenchman, or will he continue the turn?
He is certainly capable. Again, the 2 options would be 90 degrees turned in the harness for the method, an additional 90 degrees to turn backwards for the blind man, not showing distinction, or 90 degrees one way for the method and then 270 degrees back the other way for the blind man, showing clear distinction. So one will most certainly be rewarded more than the other. So we will see what happens.
Well, he's known for pushing the boundaries and taking risks with a lot of speed, it says. And seeing him on his skateboard yesterday, I'll absolutely confirm that. Just having a bit of a glance outside the studio, Andy, towards the spectators area, the VIP area. It's a weekend, there's a lot of people around. I think we can say today is a great success here in the port of San Diego, bringing swooping to the crowds.
Ariel Marquette, of course, former gymnast and avid skateboarder with a love of speed, quote unquote. So he, one of the younger jumpers, showing where the new generation will lead us in the future.
Just having a look in training, Ariel put it down into 13th place with quite a good second score, 60.04. And his first round of qualification gave him a 50.53. So it's not a bad base level on that first one. If you can improve on that score here, that's going to push him up the ranks. 17 athletes here for us this weekend. Nick Batch, currently champion of canopy piloting worldwide, did not start due to injury in training. We wish Nick all the very best and hope to see him back on the circuit as soon as possible. So Andy, in Copenhagen, we had some challenges with the weather. We had some rain on and off and clouds in and out. We're battling with that. Each venue we're going to find, as this develops over the years, it's going to be its own little special characteristics.
Most certainly, Regan. Each venue will bring its own set of challenges, its own set of characteristics.
Here he comes, Ariel Marquette.
Out of his turn. Let's see it. Blind man. Excuse me, method 2 blind man.
Oh, and he's on the pontoon.
On the pontoon. So, unlike Roberto Hernandez, he does opt to continue the momentum in the same direction. Looked like he maintained decent water contact, but the method into blind man blended seamlessly, so hard to tell where trick 1 ended and trick 2 began. Also hard to tell whether he got contact with the risers. That's what the judges are looking for as the competitor turns a full 180 degrees in the harness. Did he actually get the risers to make contact? Did he actually get the full 180 degrees around? But then does shut it down on the pontoon. So very curious to see what score this will yield.
One thing I am noticing, Andy, compared to Copenhagen, is the calmness of these tricks. We saw in Copenhagen some of the tricks felt a bit hurried, a little bit panicked, a little bit rushed. These, they seem to have all smoothed out the action.
It does seem a little bit less hectic, less jerky, smoother.
Well, the score is through, Andy. The judges like it. It's 57.60. That gives them a total of 108.13, and that currently, after 3 athletes, puts him up in the lead on the qualifications.
Well, he should be happy with that, Regan. Yesterday in the training, a big contrast from round 1 to round 2, a 21 and change to a 60 and change. Today, a little more consistency, high 50s for both rounds.
Mario Fattoruso, who quite convincingly smashed the first round of qualification, Andy, with that score of 67.16, is going to be next. Again, as we know, that magic golden line of 70 points, still elusive.
Mario Fattoruso looking for a Switchblade Ghost Rider. What I'll be looking for is whether he regains the controls at the end of the Ghost Rider in order to have a graceful and controlled landing on the pontoon, because without your hands in the controls, very difficult to come to a graceful landing.
I don't think we saw a successful Ghost Rider yesterday.
Very difficult on the chop that existed in training to release the controls altogether. So if you're gonna do it, now's the time before the afternoon breeze comes up. More boats come out on the water, contributing to chop and waves.
If you just joined us on the live stream around the world, a very good afternoon. Welcome to San Diego with Regan Tetlow and Andy Malchiodi with the qualification rounds of the finals of Swoop Freestyle 2018. When I say the finals, it's a final event. We've had Copenhagen and now here, but it's a qualification round right now. Here's Mario FATTORUSO.
On the water, Switchblade, Ghost Rider, does get controls back, and stays on the end of the pontoon. Fantastic, Regan. That was a great looking run.
Wow, Mario FATTORUSO now is looking in very, very good prime position for these qualifications.
I would not be the least bit surprised to find him in the pole position for the finals. We saw a nice approach. The Switchblade releases all the controls for the Ghost Rider. Having lost that power, not surprising that he kind of hip checked the water, but the question I was wondering, will he regain control of the canopy to aid in a smooth landing on the pontoon? And the answer is yes, he does, and is able to slow his momentum, not come off the end of the pontoon. I expect this to score in the neighborhood of his first round.
Is that going to take us past the magical 70-point line? Andy, 67.16 on round one. Is he going to get up towards 70 points? The scores are coming through now. Oh, it stalls at 63.36, and it's lower than his first round.
Well, that's not very surprising. I did expect it to be within 5 points of round one, so the score to beat nonetheless, despite not breaking that elusive 70.
It does. It really cements his authority on this qualification now with 130.52. Looking down the bottom of the pack there, it's going to mean that these last athletes who've got a chance of getting up there are going to need up towards 70, Andy, if they're going to take the prime pole position.
Cornelia MIHAI up next, looking for a blind man, Superman. She proved me very wrong in round one. I thought she was, again, set up too deep, but came right onto the pontoon. So let's see if she can replicate the success of round one, which placed her high in the standings.
Right, so the bottom of the pack there, the Pablos and Travises and the CURT's going to need over 66 points to take pole position right now. 130.52 has been set by FATTORUSO. Cornelia MIHAI and the blind man Superman.
Setting up deep again, although I'm not going to say anything about it. Here we go. A nice approach. That was supposed to be the blind man, the Superman.
She's on the pontoon.
Smooth, right in the middle.
Didn't quite get those risers touching on
No,
her.
certainly not. So a beautiful approach. A blind man that looked more like a method, so she's not going to get a big score out of that first trick. Superman looked good and smack in the middle of the pontoon. That will also score probably as high as we've seen any landing score thus far. She did what she needed to do to maintain her standings here in round two.
Well, we're looking for a 68 or more for her to be up in pole position right now. 61.44 on round one. Amazing score. Great score there, but certainly up in the top three as it stands, Andy. She's creeping up her scores now up into the 50s. It's going to be into the 60s for sure. Is it going to be over 66, 67? Is it going to be 60? It's stalling around it, is it? It's into the 60s now. Pole position is 130.52 for Mario FATTORUSO. Cornelia MIHAI comes in at 63.41 with 124.86.
Her best performance thus far, Regan, going back to Copenhagen. She must be extremely happy with this. This will put her, certainly I would imagine, in the top 5 or 6 in the finals. So Cornelia MIHAI having her best performance in the 2018 season.
Miles Cotman is going to be next from Australia with a boomerang Superman. Andy, his score on the first round, 41.32, first round of qualifications.
A boomerang Superman carving in will be Miles Cotman from the left, playing it a little bit on the safe side, I think. Dealing with some of this chop right now. There does exist some waves in the water, and Regan, it's a roll of the dice and will probably become even more of a volatile situation as the day goes on what competitors will have waves to deal with and which will not. It's somewhat determinant on boats in the area. It's somewhat determinant by the water rescue, and somewhat determinant just by nature.
It's waiting for Miles Cotman to come through the course, Andy. And again, we do know a boomerang Superman is what we're looking for. 27 years of age, 5,500 jumps, his first year here in the championships in Swoop Freestyle, brought to us by A Sports. He was competing for the first time in Copenhagen, now here in San Diego. Let's see how he can do it for us here in qualification.
Here he comes on the water. Superman, can he reach it all the way? Oh, yeah! Bellies up to the pontoon at just the last moment. Miles Cotman, a successful boomerang into the Superman. Looked like he had a long way to stretch out for it, and does make contact with the pontoon. Not the most technical combination, but I would expect him to be breaking 50 at the very least.
Let's have a look at what the scores are now. Miles Cotman with 4:1.32 in the first round. Scores are crawling up now. It's going to be a good one, Andy. It's going to be a good score for him. Into the 60s for sure. Armando FATTORUSO will be after that, but it looks like he's going to be 60.88, 102.2 final.
Nice job from Miles Cotman again, taking that left carving approach, covering a lot of ground. Certainly much better than both his scores yesterday, a 42 and a 34 from yesterday, so he'll be happy with that.
All right, Andy. So, Miles Cotman finishing with 102.20. The story developing now up at the top. It's still Mario FATTORUSO, 130.52. His brother now, Armando, with a first round of 39.34. It's going to be bringing us the Switchblade Ghost Rider, Andy.
So again, these competitors that opt to put the Ghost Rider second run the risk of having lost all their power. Again, the slower these wings go, the more they require manual input from the controls. So if you're putting your Ghost Rider second, taking both hands out of both controls, then you very quickly need to regain your hands in those controls in order to put it gracefully down on the pontoon.
It's quite interesting, Andy, that the two brothers, both with exactly the same, oh sorry, it's not the same trick, is it? We had Mario with a Switchblade Ghost Rider. It is Armando with a Switchblade Ghost Rider. So the brothers are going head to head.
A sibling rivalry that can compare apples to apples, Regan. Let's see how he does.
Very good afternoon, everybody. Is it afternoon yet? Let's check a time check. It is. It is the afternoon here in San Diego. Beautiful, gorgeous location. Full party atmosphere outside. It's a weekend. And here he comes, Andy.
Out of his turn, into his approach. Doesn't stay on the water, Switchblade. Oh! Regan, it is an unenviable position to come off the water for your first trick, knowing you have a Ghost Rider coming up next. Because as that canopy sails up, it only wants to go one direction. And if you have no manual control over the canopy, you get what we just saw, straight into the drink. No chance of getting it up onto the pontoon.
Yeah, he was down there into the port of San Diego. One of our sponsors, actually. This port It sponsors over 70 events annually, and it brings visitors in the millions to this lovely, vibrant waterfront of San Diego Bay. Also, let's give a big shout out to Siquan Casino, iFly San Diego, and of course, Skydive San Diego, who've been incredible and so strong in supporting and getting this event from Copenhagen here to San Diego.
Timmy Thompson will be up next, looking to show us a blind man switchblade. Question is always, will the competitor remain backwards for the switchblade? Historically, the answer is yes. That does give a little more style points, so I expect nothing different from Timmy Thompson. At 26 years old, he can bounce around, he can take spills. It doesn't seem to bother him one bit, Regan.
Andy, quite a big breeze coming through the studio though. Very nice for us. It's a hot day. As we would say in Europe, I say it's 28 degrees. What would you call it in America, Andy?
We're going to probably creep up again, up around 80 degrees today, Fahrenheit. Standard fare here for September in San Diego.
It's very similar to the weather all year round, isn't it? It doesn't vary much here.
Yeah, about a maybe 15-degree swing from summer to winter, not a lot. Nice Pacific sea breeze, keeping the temperatures moderate.
Big party atmosphere down here. If you're in the area, come down. We've got the food court, we've got the stalls, and lots of other action. We've got the vendors all around as well, this beautiful grassy area. Timmy Thompson, let's have a look. Just starting now, Andy.
Timmy Thompson going into his turn presently. Looking to see a whip here at the end. Smaller turn than some of the other competitors, but a nice approach. Very smooth. There's the blind man, loses a shoe. Oh!
Almost a Michael Jackson moonwalk off the end of the pontoon there, Andy.
Oh. Wow. Wow, if only he had been able to set that up slightly deeper, we would have had all around possibly the best run of these qualifiers. As it is, still very impressive. Hard to tell from here if he did put both controls into one hand for the switchblade. Most certainly remained backwards in the harness for the blind man. Comes off the water, but demonstrating tremendous control to keep the wing directly overhead, because as we know, once you're backwards in the harness, left is right and right is left. Difficult to control.
The first shoe loss we've had as well, Andy.
Indeed.
Right, Chris Stewart's going to be next. Let's have a look at Timmy Thompson's score. 5.77 round one of the qualification. It was a good setup for him. It was a good start. Still nobody getting up to the 70 points. He finishes with a 66.25. 122.03, Andy, for Timmy Thompson.
6625, so the highest score here in round two of the qualifiers. Gives him a total of 122, which should put him in the third place position.
Yeah, currently third place as it stands, with the top 130.52 from Mario Fattoruso. Second, we have 124.86 from Cornelia MIHAI. This qualification round is going to see a change up from what we saw in Copenhagen. Chris Stewart is now approaching Andy with a boomerang cowboy.
The boomerang cowboy, the question of course being, will there be a distinction between trick 1 and 2 or not? Yesterday, I believe he did something similar, and there was not. He looked to put the hand in the water during the boomerang. Let's see what we get. Here he comes. So difficult to get the hand in the water. Misses out on that, however, does put it down right in the latter two-thirds of the pontoon. That will score highly.
Throws his hands in the air. Timmy Thompson just went past the crowd shouting, "I found my shoe."
One of the only competitors to opt to take the right-hand carving approach versus the left. It has worked out for him, Regan. It does give you the ability to have that headwind, give you more support going into the headwind on the carve. Probably ups the percentage of being able to get your hand in the water, but despite his long reach, doesn't quite get those fingertips in the water, but does keep it smooth, does keep it fluid, does put it on the pontoon. Should break 50, mid-50s perhaps.
He had a 3.4.03 on round one, and the scores are coming through now. Currently 5.4.58, unconfirmed. It is 5.4.58. Gives him a total of 88.61. Chris Stewart, New Zealand. Next up, we're going to be having CURT Bartholomew. Good score in that round one, Andy, 60.39. He's got a lot to prove now with his second score. Is he going to get himself back up there into the pole position? Boomerang Switchblade is what he's bringing us. He's going to need 70 points or more, Andy, to get himself up to the pole position.
Well, if anyone can do it, Regan, we know he can. I imagine this boomerang will probably look more like a wing over, probably claiming the boomerang just so it isn't necessary to get the wingtip in the water. So we will see a boomerang, which probably looks more like a wing over, into the cowboy. He'll bring a lot of power, we know, Regan. Can he keep it under control?
Can he keep it under control? Hit that big wave yesterday, halfway through the pack into the second round of qualifications here in San Diego. Swoop Freestyle Finals of 2018. The finals are coming this afternoon at 2 p.m. and right now we're finding out the standings and the pole position and the exit order for those finals. Wow, Andy, we've got this boomerang switchblade. It is one of CURT's classics. 70 points or more is needed.
Okay, here we go. He's winding it up. It's like a better approach than he had the other day. The boomerang, switchblade.
Oh, come on! He's there! Oh, I thought we were almost going to get the stand-up landing. He was trying to commit to it. He's in the center of the pontoon, Andy. 70 points or more is what he needs for pole position.
CURT wearing those ankle braces, which would have been necessary should he have attempted to stand it up on that soft pontoon. You can roll an ankle, believe me, I speak from experience, on something soft like that, but CURT wearing those ankle braces, protecting himself. It's not a stand-up landing, however, a beautifully executed boomerang, again, almost getting the wingtip in the water. The switchblade was short-lived, but it was certainly there, certainly will score high, and then stretching it out, getting on the pontoon. The only thing he would really get dinged for is perhaps not holding the second trick for very long, but it looked good.
Well, he had a potential score of 88.93, so it's not a very high scoring run, but let's see what he gets there. 60.39 on round one. Current in the lead, Mario FATTORUSO on 130.52. But CURT Bartholomew brings in 63.47, 123.86, Andy.
Certainly it's proving very difficult to break that 70-point threshold, but this will bring CURT into the third place slot, which again, top 3 slots going into the finals. You're happy with any of those, a chance to see most of the other competitors, what they bring, so you can gauge whether to adjust your strategy one way or the other.
Let's have a look at the scores as it stands right now in the qualification rounds. We can see there, 10th place, Pablo Hernandez, 9, Travis Mills, 8, Chris Stewart, 7, Roberto Hernandez, 6, Miles Cotman, 5, Ariel Marquez, 4, Timmy Thompson, 3, CURT Bartholomew, 2, Cornelia MIHAI. Still at top there, Mario FATTORUSO from Italy with 130.52. Next up, Ian Bobo, USA, with a 53.29 on round one, Andy. He's going to be bringing us a boomerang wing over.
Well, certainly we will not really see any line of distinction with this combination. The boomerang wing over coming in from the left, Ian Bobo keeping his game the same, not making any changes. The water looks middle of the road, I'd say. No big waves to deal with, but certainly not glassy.
Well, we are having a great time here, and it's all hitting up. The place is filling up. We're getting some good results coming through. I can't wait for the finals this afternoon.
It's coming up fast, Regan. It will be here before you know it. Hopefully the winds continue to cooperate. I can see the wind flags in the distance getting a little bit stiffer, showing us that wind is coming up as expected. We expect similar conditions to what we had in the in training yesterday, and it's going to be a good one.
We'll be live with the finals at 2 p.m. this afternoon. Make sure you join us there for the 2 rounds of the finals. All the scores will be wiped clean. It'll be a fresh start. Andy?
So once again, Ian Bobo will be bringing us the boomerang wing over, coming in from the left, showing us the consistency needed, hopefully, to maintain his standing.
So the Port of San Diego, where we are, Andy, they maintain 22 parks, numerous piers, and a variety of other waterfront venues. We've been going past those on those magical scooters the last couple of days. It's a beautiful place to be, absolutely gorgeous, and we've been having a walk around the gas lamp area, some incredible architecture. It's a very special place, San Diego, isn't it?
They don't call it America's finest city for nothing, Regan. The largest naval airport on the West Coast, strong military presence, strong and proud military presence, and easy to see why so many Californians call San Diego home.
And it's incredible that we can operate here. We're in the middle of these two airports right here. We've got the main airport, the international airport, just a couple of miles up the road, and the military airport behind us. Indeed,
very congested airspace area, very fortunate. So good of the city of San Diego to allow us to operate here, showing them that this is an event worth hosting.
It is bringing the A-game for us. We're showing that we can do it outside of Copenhagen, showing that it can be a world-class event, that it can plug and play into any major city, and we do have a lot of interest as well from major cities around the world watching the action right now. Thanks for joining us, we do appreciate it. Ian Bobo, 5.3.29 on his first round. We want to get up towards that 70 points and more for his standings in the finals.
Ian Bobo setting up his turn now, coming into view. The water has a little bit of a texture on it, a little bit of a chop on it. Again, we'll be looking for a boomerang wing over. Yesterday, Travis Mills and CURT Bartholomew taking big hits, attempting the wing over in these choppy conditions. We'll see if Ian Bobo has any more success.
It is Swoop Freestyle San Diego. It's a qualification round into the final part of the pack. Ian Bobo.
Into his turn he goes, setting up very deep. Coming out of his last turn, into the approach. Boomerang, wing over. Oh, too much.
It's not an easy one, Andy, with those the water moving about like it is.
You could see exactly what happened, Regan. He laid the wing over pretty aggressively, and it was just too much. You could see the left side of his wing kind of crumble with the friction against the water. His body continued, and once the wing released, it was like a wound up rubber band, unable to regain control.
Well, let's see what the judges make of it. The scores are coming through now. Still to come, Chris Teague, Franco Darman, Claudio Cagnasso, Christian Weber, Pablo Hernandez, and the champion from Copenhagen, Travis Mills. Now, Ian Bobo, he brings forward into the finals 2 championship points from Copenhagen, and in 8th place. And in 9th place, CURT Bartholomew, 1 championship point. Next up will be Chris Teague. Now, Chris Teague brought his result in Copenhagen, Andy. I'm just trying to find it on the sheet here. Chris Teague was 7th place with 4 championship points. He's going to be bringing us a Superman Switchblade, Andy.
Superman Switchblade opting to play it a little bit safe here in the second round of qualifiers. Taking a straight-in approach, will be able to lock in his eyes on that pontoon all the way through both tricks. So should he have a less than perfect approach, there will be a margin for error. There will be options for him to either slow down or stretch it out as needed to get onto the pontoon.
37.68 in his first round of qualifications, so he's got a bit of work to do now to crawl up the pack. But remember, the finals, it's all square and starting again. Ian Bobo's score has just come through. We had a 39.25 in round 2 of qualification, finishing off with 92.54. Yesterday, had a better round in training. 107.07 was his final score after the 2 rounds of training.
Chris Teague, perhaps one of the furthest travelers for this event, hailing from Johannesburg, South Africa. Here he comes. Superman Switchblade.
Oh, he nails it, Andy. Nails it.
A very nice run from Chris Teague. Straight down the pike. A very good looking Superman. Putting both controls into one hand for the Superblade, the Switchblade. You could see him momentarily almost lose control, but brought it back under control easily enough to keep it on the pontoon. He's going to be very pleased with that.
That should be a good score. There's a potential score on that one from Teague of 88.77. Again, so it's not one of their highest combinations, but the scores are creeping through now. You could see his determination just to keep on the pontoon there, throwing himself face down at the end, crawling and clawing at it, but his score is creeping up. It's just stalling around the 40s now. It's creeping up to the 50s, into the mid-50s, Andy. 37.68 on round one. Oh, it's hovering around those mid-50s. Score is still coming in from the judges. And it does. It stalls in the 50s, Andy. 55.86.
Not a big surprise, Regan. I wouldn't have been surprised if it was a little higher, but seeing as the technicality wasn't on the terribly high side and loss of control momentarily in the second trick, I think that will come across as fair, and I suspect he'll be happy with it.
Well, Franco Darwin, the Argentinian, has got a lot to prove now. He impacted the water on his round one of qualifications just with a 4.39, so we want to see Franco bringing something special now on his second round of qualification.
Franco Darwin unlikely to make the same mistake twice. I expect a nice approach. His trademark whip into the blind man.
Here he is. Blind man.
There it is. There's the turn. Back around, but cannot quite stretch it out enough to reach the pontoon. So hard to tell from here if he even made an attempt at the Switchblade. I don't believe he did, as he was doing everything he could just to stay above water and stretch it out to the pontoon. So came up a little bit short, but certainly nowhere to go but up from his first round. So he'll be happy with that.
Franco Darwin, his brother Marco Darwin is here in town as well. He hopes to join the Swoop Freestyle team at some point. 17 athletes for us here in these championships in San Diego. And the championship standings, we had Franco in 5th place with 7 championship points. And we're moving in now to the final block here for the qualification round. And it is Swoop Freestyle here in San Diego.
Indeed, up next, Claudio Cagnasso, who perhaps might feel a little bit slighted from his first round. I would have expected a little bit higher score. Again, we will see a Cowboy Superman. He's been incredibly consistent, throwing it right down the middle of the road, being very smooth. See if he can once again replicate what he's been doing.
First round score for Claudio, 5.1.23. 5.1.23 to build on now. Finished off in Copenhagen in 4th place with 9 championship points. Going into the final, holding those 9 points in the pocket. We'll be finding out this afternoon who is the FAI Swoop Freestyle Champion 2018. Currently pole position, Travis Mills from Copenhagen with 18 championship points. Andy.
Claudio Cagnasso at present moving into position for his turn. Again, we'll expect it right down the middle. Historically, he's brought a lot of power into that Cowboy, which allows him to keep his offhand in the water perhaps longer than some of the other competitors have had success with. He'll then look to regain control with that offhand and lay it down into the Superman. Here he comes. Looks good.
It's a nice Cowboy. Super. Has he got the legs on it? Has he got the legs on it? He's on there. He's on it, Andy. He's on the pontoon.
He is. He is. He's going to claw his way on there. I felt like he initially jerked into that Superman too quickly, and it almost caused him to get deeper in his toggles than he would have preferred, and that will of course kill off a little bit of speed. He backed it off from there, probably having the same realization, and does get to the beginning of the pontoon, and that was after a successful approach and Cowboy. So a little bit eager to lurch into that Superman. Cost him a little bit of speed, but even so, he does reach the pontoon. See if he gets any more credit for this than the first round.
He is, Andy. The scores are coming through. 5-1.23 on round one. Scores up into the 60s now. Currently climbing up into the low 60s, confirmed at 6-3.15, giving him a total of 114.38.
So looking to be roughly in the same neighborhood as he was coming out of Copenhagen. He'll be pleased, having improved on his score by 12 points from round one.
Christian Weber from Denmark, the third place finalist from Copenhagen, bringing 11 championship points, to apologize, into the finals this afternoon. Didn't have a good first round, 15.98, very low score, Andy, so he's got a lot to prove now, a lot to bring with this Superman switchblade.
Of course, we missed the beginning of Christian's last run. I'm a little bit unclear as to what caused such the low score, but we will be looking for a Superman switchblade on this. Not the most technical combination. We'll be able to maintain a visual on the pontoon all the way through, so we do expect him to come straight down the pike.
After these qualifying rounds, we'll be going into the live action here in the village with entertainment and music. We'll be off air with the live stream. We'll be back at 2 p.m. with the finals, with me, Regan and Andy in the studio. At the moment, though, the action's with Christian Weber.
High over the course right now, Regan. He's gonna have to double back here a little bit. He's right in the sun at present. Hard to keep him in view. But here he comes. Mid-turn, final whip into his approach. Very deep. Superman switchblade regains control, but comes up slightly short of the pontoon.
Again, Andy, a very smooth display of these two tricks.
I was a little gun shy about calling him too deep, as I made that mistake with Cornelia, but yeah, a little too deep on that. Only allowed him to maintain the switchblade for just a moment before he had no choice but to retake control of the canopy in an effort to stretch out, try to get to that pontoon, and came up just a little bit short. He will, however, get plenty of credit for both tricks, very smooth. Maybe dinged a little bit on the deep approach, and a little bit of credit for getting as close to the pontoon as he did.
Bringing from his score the first round of 15.98. His scores are coming through now, hovering around the mid-40s for the bronze medal winner from Copenhagen. Gets a final result there, Andy, of 4.2.53, giving him a total in the qualifications of 5.8.50. He's going to be one of the early starters in the finals this afternoon. Still to come now, our silver and gold medalist. And here, starting up, is Pablo Hernandez with a tick jockey Superman.
Tick jockey, very technical move, Regan. We will see what essentially amounts to a switchblade in your offhand, getting an ankle grab into a Superman. So a technical trick into a not so technical trick with a fairly logical combination between the two.
Quite interesting as well, Andy. The Travis Mills and Pablo Hernandez are bringing the same two tricks into the finals.
Teammates on the PD Factory team, no doubt, have trained this sequence together, sharing information, sharing resources, contributing to each other's success.
Currently based out of Dubai, Pablo Hernandez Mall has finished up second in Copenhagen. He's bringing 14 championship points into the finals this afternoon. He's lining up now, Andy.
Pablo coming up to the course from the west to the east. We should see this come right down the middle.
So we're looking for that ankle grab on that first trick. from the tick jockey, and then the Superman leaning forward.
Here comes
close.
the turn. We're going to see one more whip for a whole lot of power.
His length looks good.
There's the grab.
There's
the Superman.
He's on the pontoon! Is he? Oh, he's just slid off the backside of it, Andy. His length was amazing, putting himself right in the middle of the pontoon.
I thought the turn and the approach was slightly on the lower side. He needed to dig out on the rear risers to return the wing to straight and level flight, but it wasn't too low to compromise his ability to do that into a very successful tick jockey. Didn't hold it for very long, but it looked good while he had it, into a very long and successful Superman. From our angle, it looked like he had a straight shot onto the pontoon, but comes up a little bit to the right, so won't get full credit for the landing, but should be a high score nonetheless.
It's going to be interesting to see what Travis Mills can pull out of this exactly same combination here to finish off the qualifications. Now, Pablo had a 6.4.29 in round one. He's going to need 70 points if he's going to, well, actually, no, he's going to take that first place, 6.8.75. It's a high score, Andy.
Wow. 6.8.75 being rewarded for the technicality of the tick jockey and the fluidity into the Superman. So despite not putting it down on the raft, very high scores. Here comes Travis Mills with the same sequence. Tick jockey does not get the ankle grab. Superman not as impressive. If Pablo's was a 68.75, I would expect Travis's to be somewhere in the mid-50s at most.
And they both had a very similar score on round one, 6.4.29 from Pablo, 6.4.78 from Travis. And so this is going to give us that standings into the finals. 133.08 for Pablo Hernandez. Travis Mills' score is coming through now. Well, Andy, didn't get that leg grab, the ankle grab in the tick jockey.
Did not get the ankle grab, and the Superman looked a little bit less than controlled, kind of sliding out to one side as he knew that pontoon was coming up fast.
That's been the 2 rounds of qualifications are through. We'll shortly know the exit order for the qualifying finals, which are going to be starting this afternoon, but we're just waiting for that final score to come through now. It's not a good one, Andy. 4.64, giving him a total of 109.42.
Certainly worse than I even expected, Regan. We see a difference of 24 points between Pablo's and Travis's with the same sequence. Just goes to show it is a game of centimeters out there.
So let's have a look at the overall standings now. The exit order for the finals looks like this. In 10th place, currently Chris Teague. 9, Miles Cotman. 8, Ariel Marquez. 7, Travis Mills. 6, Claudio Cagnasso. 5, Timmy Thompson. 4, Curt Bartholomew. 3, Cornelia MIHAI. 2, Mario Fattoruso. But taking himself up to pole position, Spain, Pablo Hernandez is at the top into the finals. Well, Andy, we've seen the 2 rounds of qualifications there. It's been a good bit of action.
It's been exciting to watch, Regan. I can't wait for the finals. The pole position is set. The rankings are set. These competitors are going to lick their wounds or enjoy their successes, but only for a moment, as the main event is still to come.
Join us back here live for the grand finals of Swoop Freestyle 2018 with me, Regan Tetlow, and Andy Malchiodi in just over an hour, 2 p.m.
left my world in somebody's hands.
Judges look for direction, angle, and control of flight. After the approach is the execution of tricks. This counts for 60% of the total score and is valid only if the athlete is in contact with water within the action zone. Each execution will see the athletes combining two predetermined tricks. Judges look for the execution of tricks in a clear, visible manner with focus on duration, length and control of water drag. After the execution, the competitors have to land and stop their momentum on the floating platform. The landing will count for 30% and the judges look for a controlled and stand-up landing on the pontoon.
Swoop Freestyle FAI World Championship 2018 Copenhagen. Ladies and gentlemen, eyes to the sky, it's showtime. Which of these athletes will be crowned champion? He's on angle. He's on there. He's in. And he's on. Oh, wow. What did we just see? What did we just see? Let's look at this now. Watch the precision. Wow, he's all hitting up. Oh, wow. He brought it when it was needed. Oh, the story now we've got to tell.